Imagine living in a city where the roar of traffic is replaced by the laughter of children playing, where parks flourish instead of asphalt deserts, and where the air feels a little cleaner with every breath. This isn't a utopian fantasy, it's the reality in cities around the world that have dared to tear down their highways. But why would any city take such a drastic step? What if I told you that ditching highways could unleash a new era of vibrant urban life? Highways have long been the backbone of modern cities, built to connect us and fuel economic growth. But over time, these massive structures have isolated neighborhoods, contributed to environmental and health problems, and drained our financial resources. As these highways age and face costly repairs, a growing number of cities are now facing a choice of doubling down or tearing them down. One option keeps things the same: suburban isolation, urban decay, and financial instability. The other opens the door to reconnected communities, flourishing urban culture, and financial prosperity. To me, the choice is obvious. But how would millions of people get to work every day without highways? What about your Amazon packages? Imagine trying to get from one side of LA, Houston, or Atlanta to the other. Highways seem like the only way. It sounds like a nightmare, right? But here's the thing. What if highways aren't the shining examples of efficiency we've always believed them to be? What if instead, they're creating more problems than they solve? Let's dive into the realities of highway removals, explore examples from around the world, and uncover the surprising benefits that can come from making this bold transformation. What you learn today might just change the way you see the roads you travel on every day. Let's start off with reviewing the damages highways have inflicted on you and your society. Highways, once celebrated as a symbol of progress around the world, have proven to be a double-edged sword. Yes, they delivered faster commutes and economic growth, but these benefits have come at a steep price. Fragmented communities, heavy pollution, and a massive financial burden. As these massive roads carved their way through thriving neighborhoods, they didn't just connect cities, they divided them. They created canyons and asphalt rivers that segmented urban communities with unwalkable roads, hollowing out our cities as people fled to the dull, lifeless suburbs. In these suburban labyrinths, residents are condemned to navigate a maze of cookie-cutter housing developments, develop a lust for free parking, and embark on an endless search for entertainment in decaying strip malls and big box stores. These roads are also notorious hotspots of air and noise pollution, relentlessly spewing harmful toxins and microplastics into the air and water. The hard surfaces of highways and roads act as a barrier, preventing water absorption and causing urban runoff to surge, turning ordinary rains into devastating floods. Highways also drain our financial resources, as our governments are doing the financial equivalent of opening up a new credit card to pay for the prior one. Local communities are burdened with expensive maintenance and repairs that they can't afford, leading many of them to pursue the mistaken belief that through sprawl they can grow their way into financial stability, when in reality they are just digging themselves deeper into the hole. In my previous 3 videos, I delved deeper into each of these downsides. If you're still on the fence about the real problems our highway system create, I encourage you to watch them. For now, I've highlighted these issues because they represent serious challenges that can be overcome with a shift in perspective and focus. It starts with the realization that highways occupy prime urban real estate, land that can be put for far better use. Imagine replacing those endless lanes of asphalt with parks, housing, and public spaces that enhance the quality of life. The results? Falling housing prices, increased business profits, reduced urban pollution, and a boost in tax revenue. Instead of dedicating a vast stretch of our urban landscape to cars, we could be creating environments that prioritize individuals, communities, and the well-being of our local governments. As cities grow, the need for these solutions become ever more pressing. However, our highways squeeze out the alternatives that could help our communities thrive. Let's explore some of the cities that are reshaping their communities by removing these urban scars. Let's start off with the first ever highway removal project in the US, Portland, Oregon's Harbor Drive. It was the city's first highway, and for decades it stood as a barrier, cutting off downtown Portland from its riverfront. Then in 1974, it was finally torn down to make way for the new waterfront park. Today, this park is a thriving urban oasis where residents and visitors alike can reconnect with nature. Just look at it now. Throw in a piggyback ride and you've got yourself a K-drama date moment among the cherry blossoms here. Between the old and the new, which one would you prefer? Next is New York City. The West Side Elevated Highway ran along the Manhattan-Hudson River. Due to neglect, the highway began to deteriorate, and in December 1973, a section collapsed, leading to its closure. The city decided not to repair the highway, and due to lack of funds, it was slowly demolished. By 2001, the area was transformed into the Hudson River Park and Boulevard. This new space now boasts the most heavily used bikeway in the US, along with wide pedestrian paths that bring you right up to the Hudson, giving access to fantastic public sports facilities, piers, and a ton of open space for people to enjoy. While the roads might still be a bit too wide in my taste, we mustn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. One person recommendation: check out the winery on Pier 26. There's nothing quite like watching the sunset while you drink and dance on the grave of a highway. Next, we head to San Francisco's Embarcadero Freeway. Built in 1956, it was a double-deck concrete monster that obscured the views of the historic ferry building and the Golden Gate Bridge, cutting off easy pedestrian access to the waterfront. Then in 1989, the Loma Prieta earthquake caused more than half a mile of the upper deck to collapse onto the lower deck, killing 42 people and injuring dozens more. But from tragedy came progress. The highway was removed, replaced by a ground-level boulevard, and by 1993, the area had been transformed into a more connected and vibrant urban environment. Then we have the infamous Big Dig project in Boston, which involved tearing down the John F. Fitzgerald Expressway and tunneling underneath the city to reroute the highway. The result was the Rose Kennedy Greenway. The process was a hot mess and a lesson on what not to do. It took nearly 2 decades and blew past any budget and timeline imaginable. Yet, despite all this, it still stuck the landing. The Big Dig crawled so the removal of the Seattle-Alaskan Way viaduct could run. This highway was almost identical to the one in San Francisco and could have met the same fate if a strong enough earthquake hit it. So it was decided to tear it down, build a boulevard in its place like San Francisco, and reroute traffic through an underground tunnel like Boston. Only a few years behind schedule and slightly over budget, the project was finally complete in 2020. And it's not just the US that's catching on to the anti-highway sentiment. Korea provides possibly the most efficient example of extracting an urban scar: the tearing down of the Cheonggi elevated highway in Seoul. In just 2 years, 10.9 kilometers of decaying, congested structure was replaced with the Cheonggi-cheong stream. Completed in 2005, this transformation created a vibrant urban space. By 2015, the stream had become a major tourist attraction with about 60,000 daily visitors. The project led to the creation of Cheonggi Plaza. It also connected cultural facilities, food markets, and shopping centers. Land prices within a 100-meter radius of the park surged by 30%, creating new opportunities for nearby residents. But this massive project didn't just benefit humans. The restoration led to the creation of a whole new environment for Seoul's previously displaced wildlife. The restoration brought back biodiversity with 365 plant species, 19 fish species, and countless birds and other wildlife. It not only improved air and water quality, but also helped cool nearby areas by 3.6 Celsius on average. All this was accomplished on a budget of 281 million, only 10% over the original budget, a feat akin to landing a man on Mars when it comes to the exciting world of municipal financing. This successful removal directly inspired Spain Madrid's Rio project, which buried the Autopista de Circunvalación M30 and created a park along the previously isolated Manzanares River. Lasting from 2008 to 2015, the project resulted in a massive green oasis in the heart of the city. As in Seoul, pollution decreased, biodiversity thrived, and new recreational areas opened up to citizens and tourists alike. Finally, we have the removal of the Catharijnenbaan in Utrecht, Netherlands. Originally a canal, it was turned into a 12-lane highway in 1973 under the illusion that more cars equaled progress. By 2010, the highway was unstable and closed. It was then decided to bring back the canal, and by 2020, the new canal and park were open to the public. Today, people enjoy boat rides, paddleboarding, and kayaking up and down the canal. Each of these examples demonstrates that with vision and commitment, cities can create healthier, more vibrant, and more connected spaces. Tearing down a highway isn't just about removing a structure, it's an opportunity to reunite fractured communities and reclaim urban spaces for people. But getting there isn't always straightforward. The journey involves navigating complex logistical, political, and social challenges. Challenges that make making the right decisions difficult. It's easy to make a case for keeping things how they are instead of moving towards how things should be. For example, you know a million reasons why you haven't improved your online security, even though you know you have no such thing as online privacy with your present setup. You use public Wi-Fi, share your emails with anyone, and reuse the same passwords. Convenience gets the better out of all of us. That's where Proton Unlimited steps in, the all-in-one solution for your online privacy and security. It covers everything you need to stay protected every time you browse the web. But Proton Unlimited goes beyond just a VPN. With it, you get Proton Pass, giving you the ability to securely manage your passwords and create alias emails for added privacy when signing up for services. You'll also have Proton Drive, which stores your important files safely in a secure cloud protected by end-to-end encryption. And don't forget Proton Mail, a secure email service ensuring that only you have access to your messages. Compared to the likes of Google, Proton offers a level of security and privacy that big tech simply can't match. And here's the best part. Proton Unlimited is only $9.99 a month for an annual plan and $7.99 a month for a 2-year plan. I couldn't resist and signed up for the 2-year plan myself. If you're ready to lock down your online privacy, Proton Unlimited has your back. Don't wait, your data and privacy deserve the best protection. Click on the link below and get started on securing your digital life today. With the right tools, you can protect your digital life and overcome all the excuses that are holding you back from taking control of your online privacy. Now let's learn more about the excuses often used to argue for sticking with highways. The journey to highway removal often begins with the city facing aging infrastructure and the critical decision of which path to take. Do we continue down the familiar road, renewing our vows to an abusive relationship for another generation? Or do we break free and explore the opportunities that lie beyond? Much like an abusive relationship, the victim tends to dismiss the harm of the abuser and can't imagine a life without them. As a society, we deserve better. Yet many haven't realized this truth, blinded by the familiarity of what they've always known. Ironically, those who would benefit the most from highway removals are often their most committed opponents, mainly the politicians, the business owners, and the soccer moms. Politicians often support highways out of political convenience. Highways mean job creation, community investment, and tangible proof of their work, projects they can proudly showcase. So logically, it's not in their best interest to push back against highways. This mindset empowers departments of transportation across the US to act independently of what local communities might truly desire. However, this logic overlooks a critical issue: basic math. The reality is that our communities aren't generating enough tax revenue to maintain the highways and roads that radiate from them. Tearing down these highways and replacing them with parks and boulevards can solve this financial conundrum. This approach can bring money into communities through public-private partnerships, create jobs, and transform maintenance costs into revenue-generating land. And best of all, for politicians, it's a physical thing they can point to as proof of their work. Take the waterfront park in Portland, Oregon. The highway removal and park construction project was initiated by Governor Tom McCall. McCall's legacy is celebrated to this day with a life-size bronze statue unveiled in 2008, and in 2015, the Oregon governor designated March 22nd of each year as Tom McCall Day to commemorate him and encourage school districts to educate children about Governor McCall's legacy. It's a politician's dirty dream to be remembered in such a manner. Taking the unbeaten path that betters and beautifies a city is a way to build one's political legacy. Local business owners often fear that after highway removal, customers will stop coming, leading to declining sales and closure. This fear has fueled some of the fiercest opposition to highway removal projects. In San Francisco, Chinatown businesses opposed the removal of the Embarcadero freeway. They even defeated a ballot measure to demolish the highway in 1986, but the 1989 earthquake ultimately led to its destruction. Similarly, in Seoul, store owners and street vendors formed committees to oppose the Cheonggi-cheong Stream Restoration Project. Their logic seems solid. Highways bring traffic, and traffic means customers. But let's not kid ourselves. How many of us actually stop to shop in local businesses while driving on a highway? Most of us frequent big chains like Costco, Walmart, or Target for our shoppings, not local grocers or boutiques. If we do, it's probably the result of a happy accident where we ended up discovering a unique local gem. So the barrier all businesses face is the ease of client access. Yes, highways are the roads used to bring customers, but it's a little naive to think highways are the only way to transport customers. A robust mass transit network could do the job, carry more customers, and expand its customer base beyond the limits traffic patterns create. A second barrier that only small businesses must face is getting accidental foot traffic. Unlike the big national chains, most people don't go out with the idea of visiting these businesses in mind. They rely on curiosity and spontaneity to secure business. In a car-centric world where parking availability dictates where you can and spend time, these businesses live or die by their proximity to a big chain store. Highways reinforce the system that makes each one of us make narrow, calculated decisions on where we are going to buy things. We don't have time to explore or walk around, as we need to make sure there's parking nearby and that we don't venture too far from the car in case we need to drive somewhere else. In Seoul, businesses near the restored Cheonggi-cheong Stream saw their revenue grow at double the rate of other downtown areas. Removing highways can revitalize small businesses, drawing in foot traffic by turning areas into attractions. Tearing down a highway might just be the shot in the arm local mom and pop shops need to thrive in a world dominated by corporate giants. Soccer moms might push back against highway removals, fearing the loss of convenient routes to daily activities like school drop-offs, grocery shopping, and soccer practices. Highways seem essential for their busy schedule and probably for you as well. It's a valid worry for us all. After all, highways are supposed to move large volumes of vehicles quickly. The thought of unmanageable traffic spilling over onto smaller, less capable roads can be daunting. But here's a surprising truth. In many cases, traffic doesn't just move elsewhere. It often disappears altogether. This phenomenon is known as traffic evaporation. It occurs when the removal of highway leads to a shift in how people travel. Some shift to public transit, others opt for cycling or walking, and some trips simply no longer happen. For example, when San Francisco's Embarcadero freeway was removed, the expected traffic nightmare never materialized. Instead, the city saw a reduction in overall vehicle usage as people adapted to the new street layout and transportation options. In Seattle, there was a 3-week period where the old highway was closed and the replacement tunnel was not open yet. People were anticipating complete chaos, calling it Carmageddon. But their fear never came true. The city saw a 10% decrease in vehicles entering downtown, increased bicycle use, and a spike in transit ridership by over 15,000 new riders. This period showed that a city could adapt to reduced highway capacity without major disruption. Concerns about traffic chaos and loss of connectivity can be eased through smart urban planning and robust mass transit investment. By prioritizing high-frequency buses, trams, and trains with expanded routes, cities can make commuting smoother and reduce congestion without relying on cars. Incorporating dedicated bus lanes, priority signals, and improved infrastructure for cycling and walking further encourages a shift away from car dependency. This shift transforms how families engage with their cities. Imagine kids enjoying the freedom of safely exploring their neighborhoods, walking or biking without the constant fear of being hit by a bad driver. With pedestrian-friendly streets and reliable public transit, parents can feel secure letting their children navigate the city independently, fostering a strong sense of community and self-reliance. Moreover, replacing highways with green spaces and parks offers families more opportunities for outdoor recreations. These areas become vibrant communal hubs, enriching the quality of life for residents. Ultimately, the benefits of highway removals go beyond just managing traffic. They reimagine a city as healthier, more vibrant places to live. Some might argue that tearing down a perfectly good structure might produce a lot more problems than keeping it up. They say that while it's still useful, why not let the cars be its main users? But what if we could repurpose the infrastructure left behind, turning into something beneficial for the community? In the United States, we caught a brief glimpse of how repurposing a highway might look like. The weekend before the demolition of Seattle's Alaskan Way Viaduct, a farewell celebration was held. The community was invited to walk, bike, and run on the elevated highway, turning it from a source of traffic stress into a place of joy and togetherness, even if only for a short time. The event even featured an art festival parade, transforming a once utilitarian space into a canvas for creativity and community spirit. By adapting and reusing what's already in place, cities not only hit the reduce and reuse aspect of sustainability, but they also unlock some of the benefits of highway removals. Severely underused spaces become thriving, vibrant community hubs. One of the most iconic examples of this innovative approach is the High Line in New York City. Originally an elevated freight railway, this space has been repurposed into a linear park stretching nearly 1.5 miles. It has become a beloved urban oasis, attracting both tourists and locals alike. In Toronto, they took another approach by demonstrating how even the areas beneath the highway can be revitalized. Below the Gardiner Expressway, the city created a public space called the Bentway, turning an underutilized, shadowy expanse into a cultural hub, complete with skating trails, performance areas, and public art. This idea of transformation reached new heights with Seoul's Sky Garden, where they reclaimed the highway itself. During my research, I stumbled upon something remarkable. On Google Maps Street View, you can actually witness this transformation unfold. One moment, you see the highway as it was, packed with asphalt and metal cars. And then, within a quick shift, you're standing in a vibrant pedestrian green space. Experiencing this virtual shift drives home just how profound these transformations can be. At night, it radiates sapphire blue lights across the city, creating a serene, almost magical atmosphere. Repurposing infrastructure is another way we can redefine urban environments, creating opportunities for connection, relaxation, and cultural expression. But as we celebrate these transformations, we must also confront a persistent and dark aspect of urban life that's often overlooked. While we look towards the future of highways, an insidious threat has been quietly infiltrating our lives for generations. Beyond the noise and relentless traffic they carry, highways are silently robbing us of our health. The pollution they generate doesn't just hang in the air, it sneaks into our lungs, contributing to respiratory issues and chronic illnesses. And that's not all. Every mile we drive, every tire that grinds against the asphalt releases microplastics, tiny invisible particles that are now finding their way into our bodies, the long-term effects of which are unknown. But this is just the beginning. To uncover the full extent of these hidden dangers and learn what we can do to protect ourselves, don't miss my previous video. Dive into the unseen impacts of highways on our health and the environment.